Try again. Go live. Live. We're live. Hey, welcome to our Wednesday home buying seminar. Whether you're buying your first home or your next home, I'm here around Bill Gross at Bill Gross Probate, along with my colleague and good friend,
Yes, Patricia Castillo.
who is out in the woods. Where are you, Patricia?
I'm in South Lake Tahoe.
South Lake. Look at you bouging it up in South Lake Tahoe.
Look at this view. It's so
Look
pretty.
at that view. Oh my
Um,
gosh.
there's nothing but trees behind me, but it's really spectacular. It's a little cold and chilly. The,
Sure.
the beautiful nature behind me here. And it's about 50 degrees right now, but there's supposed to be
Wow.
some rain and snow coming in. So I'm not sure how long I'll be here because I don't want to get snowed in. But the good thing about our brokerage is that it's a brokerage without borders, so we can literally work from anywhere in the country as long as we have internet.
Sure. Wow,
Yeah,
it's freezing here in LA at 66 degrees. I actually had to wear like a windbreaker coat today. Freezing. So
yeah,
so nobody really cares. Are you here on business? Is it vacation time and you're just checking with us? What's going on in South Lake Tahoe?
yeah. A little bit of both. I'm still working while I'm out here, but just decided to come and get a trip into the year end here.
Nice.
And yeah, but in terms of the real estate market, from my end, what I'm seeing is things are still pretty busy. You and I are in Los Angeles, which is always pretty robust market, even as
Yeah.
we're entering, literally the last almost a month and a half in this quarter. And
What? What?
I know everyone's counting down the days to Christmas, but one of the things that I'm seeing is that a lot of buyers and sellers were waiting for the election to pass. And now that the election has passed, it seems like my phone's ringing a little bit more. I'm getting more calls to get evaluations on properties as far as values. In fact, I have a listing appointment tomorrow morning on Zoom. And, I think that the market is always going to it's always going to come back. In other words, during the month leading up to the election, things kind of slowed down a little bit. Not because there wasn't any interest, people were just waiting. So I was looking at the stats for the refi activity and purchase applications because that
Mhm.
also is a really good indicator on where the market is at. And last week, the refi activity was almost 2% higher than the previous week. And when you look at the loans, the activity for each loan, like FHA, VA, um, purchase applications, each one of those different categories were at least 2% higher last week.
Hmm. Hmm.
So everything is, I can see it's still busy, even though we're typically the real estate market kind of fluctuates throughout the year, where we have the peak time during spring and summer, and then during the holidays it tends to slow down a little bit. But to what I can see, it's still fairly busy right now.
Yeah, I think I would say the same thing. I think that in marketing, obviously we do this podcast. I do several other podcasts, and I think that the election took a lot of attention of people on both sides.
Hmm.
And watching it for the last few weeks, running up to the election, watching the election results, watching post-election, and it took a lot of traffic from YouTube. And people are spending time they didn't normally. I think that's going to come to an end. We're in the holiday period for sure, but I think you're going to see definitely attention going back into real estate. Though I have to say, I still get calls on listings I have that aren't on market anymore, and pending and such. So I know there's still a good demand out there. And I
Right.
think the other thing I would say for people is, I know personally, when I've bought houses, I always bought this time of year because my peak time was the summer as a real estate agent, and I had time to shop in December. I remember when we bought our first house. the years before that, I had a regular job in a manufacturing company, and I remember the owner said he always bought property in December because in his case, his factory had a shutdown for 2 weeks, and they would send the employees home, and they did certain maintenance. So they had like a company come in and clean or whatever. So they had like a company shut down for 2 weeks. He said that's when he went out and bought property, whether it be to live in or investment. I thought that's so interesting. He said, yeah, because there's no competition that time of year, and sellers in the market are more open to negotiation and concessions. And so I would say that if it's a good time for you to buy, I understand we're all busy and you have family time and we don't want to cut short that. But if you're looking to buy, this would be a good time to kind of cut the line, because if you wait till January or after the Super Bowl, you're going to be waiting for the line to get back up. It's kind of going to Disneyland. If the line's low, jump on that ride and take a shot at it. This is a time to get into if you're looking to buy a property or an investment property.
That's right. In fact, the listing appointment I have tomorrow morning is a couple. They're empty nesters. Kids are grown and out of the house, and they're looking to downsize. Their home is almost 3,500 square feet. Now, they don't need that much space now, so they're looking to downsize to maybe 2,000 square feet.
There you go.
But they also need a place to live. So it's sell and purchase, that they're looking to do. And right now they've been watching the market as well, the market trends. And so aligned with what you were just saying, they are acting on it right now because there's a little bit less competition in terms of selling and then buying and getting the best terms possible on the purchase as well.
Right. So, okay. And so interest rates, seems like the rates have been kind of hovering around the 7% mark, just to kind of to put a fine line on it. The Fannie Mae is just slightly above 7 today at 7.05. Let me pull the graph up real quick and we'll share that with everybody.
Yeah, not a big difference in rate fluctuations from what I can tell.
No, not at all. In fact, let me just present this real quick.
Yeah, and I think the activity with refis has improved and has gone up because buyers that purchased, let's say even last October, they might have had to wait for a year in order to refinance and have a percentage or 3 percentage points more in equity. So they are still gaining on refinancing from an 8% mortgage to a 7%.
Plus, on average, housing prices went up. And so if they bought a house a year ago, and that's the thing, we've been doing this podcast now for about 2 years. Right. If you bought anything 2 years ago, it's gone up probably about 10%. If you bought a $500,000 house, just sitting in your house, make your payments, it went up $50,000. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. And if you had a rate at 5%, you're probably, living there for free over the last couple of years, and it's tax deferred. So, okay. Well, look, we're kind of a little bit short here because I'm just mesmerized by your view. I just can't even think about anything other than how fresh the air must smell and how pretty it must be walking out. Are you going outside at all? Or are you just inside the whole time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I'm actually outside right now on the porch.
Get out of here.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Wow. But the benefits of hard work, the rewards of hard work. You've had a great year this year, I know. And for anybody who knows her as a customer, she works really hard for customers, and she's done a great job both helping sellers sell houses and buyers buy houses. So it's I'm really excited to see you enjoying your vacation time.
Thank you so much. I did want to talk about though one thing that is really important in any business transaction, but especially real estate. Because I'm in escrow right now with a buyer. They're purchasing a home in the Valley in Winnetka. And sometimes, there's always going to be, not sometimes, but there's always going to be, you're going to have the contractual obligations on both sides, right? Buyer and seller. On the buy side, you're going to have the 3 contingencies, right? Your inspection, your appraisal, and then the loan. And sometimes you'll need an extension to finish having everything underwritten by the lender, because as a buyer, the last thing you want to do is remove all your contingencies when you're still pending one last verification. Maybe it's insurance review, maybe it's one final review of the assets. And so in this situation, we received a notice to perform because we were asking for an extension, but it kind of crossed with the notice of perform that came in through email. And so in terms of communication, it's just really important to notify the agent, let them know why you're requesting the extension, which we did anyway, right? We communicated that we needed a couple of days for the loan contingency. And some listing agents are very proactive. So they'll send you the notice to perform anyway. So they know that you need an extra 2 or 3 days, but they're still sending you the notice to perform to let you know that they're on top of it and also put a little bit pressure. In other words, you're getting those 2 or 3 days, but you're not going to get another extension, right? So it's really important to communicate on both sides, and also explain to your buyers or sellers why the extension is needed. And is the buyer just playing around and wasting time, or are they really serious and they honestly just need a couple of more days, which in our case is what happened. And my buyer was a little concerned. We have a notice to perform. What, is that going to change things? And I said, well, not if we are getting all our ducks in a row and getting everything needed to the lender to get everything underwritten, then we can remove the contingency. So we are removing our contingencies, but sometimes those notice to performs can seem a bit scary, but it's meant to apply that pressure to make sure that some agents, they do kind of take their foot off the gas and they just let things kind of fall by the side of the road, and you don't really know where your transaction is at. But, in this case, it's like I said, it's really important to just communicate and also reassure the other agent that you're working with. So if you need an extension, make sure you get that in ahead of time, not when your contingency is actually due. Let's say it's due today. You don't want to ask for the extension today. You want to ask for it at least, a day or two in advance, or as soon as you know that you're going to need the extension.
Yeah, I think I'm more commonly on the listing side, though I've done work with buyers as well. And I always feel like, ask early. They can always say no, but what does that mean? That you have another chance to ask again.
Right.
And they have a chance to think about their answer too. I think sometimes, when we're kids, we'd ask our parents, they'd say no like 10 times. We'd still ask an 11th time for candy or whatever to stay up late. Somehow as adults, we stopped doing that. And I think in sales, it's important that sometimes the first time you ask somebody something is just part of the negotiation process. And negotiation starts, it doesn't end with the first time they tell you no. It ends when you get what you want for your customer sometimes. So that's a very good point, Patricia, on how to negotiate. And I also feel as a listing agent, I always, even I know they're not ready on time, I always send that notice before. I want them to know the clock is ticking, I'm paying attention.
Right.
Unless I want them to cancel, that's a different story. But if I think they're going to perform, I want them to feel the heat. I want them to feel the pressure. And I think that's
Sure.
an important process.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, so this is Wednesday. Next week, Wednesday is the night before Thanksgiving. We're going to do this again next week.
Yeah, I'm available.
Great.
Sure.
Okay,
Well,
good.
let's
I will be
give a
too.
final market update, before Thanksgiving, and see how this week does. We can report on next week. So hopefully, it's exciting to me to read that these different categories are improving, or we're seeing more activity, because that just goes to show that people were waiting for the election to pass, and maybe some people already had their application in process, and now it finally got approved, right? So it looks like we're having a strong ending of 2024.
Well, I know I am. I think you are as well. So let's finish things strong. We'll see you guys next week. Patricia, if someone wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yes, my cell 323-365-9909.
And I'm at Bill Gross Probate all over social media, or BillGrossProbate.com. And thank you guys for joining. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.